Hello and welcome once again to another episode of THRS Deep Cuts. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dave.
We're here again to, as Dave put it before we started rolling live, to entertain social media for another Thursday night session here. We're going to be discussing the latest from Geezer Butler, Axel Rudi Pell, and we're going to revisit a classic from ZZ Top in a little bit of a special nod to Dusty Hill, who passed away very recently as well. I have a hot topic and all the usual stuff in a minute. Please check out all the links and all the information you're going to need to follow us and check out links for what we're talking about tonight. It's all in the description of the post, so go check out those. Like, follow, subscribe, all the usual things. Comment, interact with us, share this stuff around, help us get the word out about these streams. And if you're so kind, please check out our sponsors too, Squidding, Screen Printing, Alt, Cult, and Rockstar Finance. A huge thank you to them for their support. Their links, just like ours, are in the description of the post wherever you're tuning into this one from. So go and hit them up, give them a follow, and show them some love for the support they give us here at the show. We'll get to the comments, which are coming through already in a second. Thank you for jumping in on that. It's always good to get the regulars jumping in. But first of all, Dave, it's been a few days. How you going?
Yeah, pretty good. Been busy at work. As we do this, we just hit lockdown 7,000 or 7.0 or whatever the hell you want to call it. But I'm in better spirits this time than last time. You have to roll the punches sometimes. The kids are pretty adaptive to home learning, and work will continue. Maybe we'll see. I'll find out during the week because Sydney's out and so is Queensland. So that's a lot of our business. So we will see what happens there. Yeah. But it's better to be out for a week than out for a month or more.
Yeah,
so it transpires in Sydney at the moment. So I prefer to be here. Apart from that, just watching wrestling, listening to music, and watching horror movies. The usual for me. Keeps me sane, keeps me happy.
You got your first new taste. Oh, good. I'll get to that in a second. But you got your first new taste of some Guns N' Roses. I didn't get a chance to check out the clip yet, unfortunately. But you've been checking it out. And
yeah, the first video was pretty poor quality, but the song was pretty cool. But there's a new one that surfaced today. It's right from the front row. I'm just like, this sounds a lot better and it looks a lot better. And it's a reworking of a song from Chinese Democracy Sessions that didn't make the album then, and they performed it in 2001. And adding Slash to it has made it a lot better because you got his feel and his style for the solos and the main riff. And it's not Welcome to the Jungle, it's not November Rain, but it's a fun, pretty cool song. And yeah, I like it. A lot of people don't, but yeah, the lyrics are fantastic. I think they're hilarious. A bit misogynistic and hateful and spiteful, but whoever the song is about sounds like a really terrible person, so I got a laugh out of it. And yeah, Axel's sounding all right, considering he's almost 60 these days, and he's in much better shape than Vince Neil. Since the last time we saw him last year, he's obviously hit the gym. He's lost some weight, it looks like. So looking good, feeling good. So new song's pretty cool. If we get a new album, we get one. If not, I'm still glad that they're still performing.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, we'll get to the, like I said, there's some comments coming through, which is good, but keep them coming. But for now, been pretty good. It's just another week. I know that lockdown sucks, and I do empathize with a lot of people out there that are doing it really hard. This is the 6th go around or something now. So it's not easy, and sympathies and commiserations, everyone that's feeling the blow tonight. But at the same time, I'd rather just try and knock this on the head nice and quick, even though we just started to come out of lockdown again. But get this one over and done with, and hopefully we can all sort of start getting back to normal and do what we need to do in that regard. I'm still able to work. I'm one of the lucky ones, as far as I know, unless I get a text message later on. But yeah, as far as I know, I'm still working, so it's all good. But I know how fortunate I am at the same time to be in that position, to be confident of that as well, which is, reassuring. The other side of the coin, I got my first jab for the vaccination today, so I've got 3G connection, not 5G yet. I'll be able to start playing with that over the next few weeks. Got my second one booked in already, so that's the only way out of this as far as I can see. So that's my take on it. So I went and got that done today. Feeling fine so far, outside of, like I said, the sudden buzzing in the back of my head for the internet. But yeah, everything's good. Overall, I know that, like I said, lockdown sucks. We're planning to see our girls, or Jody was in particular, going to see our daughters over the weekend, but that obviously can't take place now because you're back to the 5K thing. But this time around, everyone here seems to be handling it a bit more. It's a bit more resilient. We're a bit more hardened to it all, I guess. And it is what it is in that regard. Just, yeah, like I said, hopefully we can knock this one over nice and quick and then just sort of start moving on. Anyway, the footy will be on. I'll be happy to sit back and watch that with a couple of drinks over the weekend. So I'll be all right. And there's always good music to talk about and listen to anyway. So I'm set regardless. It's about what you do with your time that makes it all worthwhile. Stop doom scrolling on this fucking thing and just go and get yourself into something you enjoy doing. I think that's the best way to get out of this, head fuck that it is. But anyway, let's get to some comments here tonight. We've got some cool ones jumping in. So Dean's jumped in to say, hey guys, hope all is well for you both. Well, yes, clearly we're doing very well tonight. Thank you for asking. Nudes saying, hi, gents. So good to have you here with us. Nudes a bit earlier than last time as well. So good to have you back with us. Darren says, we need some good entertainment to get through this COVID shit. We'll do our best. Hopefully we are somewhat entertaining. We'll aim to please. Dean said, did you guys check out the latest single from Tremonti? Marching in Time is a new single. Great track. Looking forward to his new album. I want to get Wayne in when we do talk about that album. It is due, I think.
Yeah, he's a massive fan.
Yeah, we should get Wayne for that one. But I haven't actually had a chance to check it out. It's funny you mentioned that because I did know it was out, but then I got another notification on my YouTube page before we went live tonight. It's like, fuck, I've got to check that out. So I do want to go and check it out. It's definitely on the to-do list. Have you heard it yet, Dave, or not?
No, I didn't know it was out.
Okay, cool. Well, there we go. Nicole Gaylor Stevens says, hey, dude. So, hey, back. Thank you for jumping in and joining us in the comments. It's beautiful to have more people here. Dean also said, new song from Gunners. Does this mean a possible album is in the works? So, Dave, you'd have a lot more information on this because you follow it more closely than I do. What do you think? What's your gut feel on this, or what have you heard?
I honestly don't know. The song's not new. It's 20 years old. It was from the Chinese Democracy Sessions. So they've obviously gone through some stuff and see what gels with this new lineup with old and new members, and they made a pretty cool update of Silkworms, which was what it was originally called, and now it's absurd. So if they're working on that, there's no doubt they're working on other stuff. And a rehearsal video leaked a couple of days ago where they were rehearsing Hard School, which leaked a couple of years ago. So they're working on new stuff. So if we get a full album's worth, it will be interesting. Hopefully it's not all old stuff that they've resurrected. I'm sure Slash is contributing something, so wait and see. But we talked about what we expect with new music from old bands a few weeks ago, and my one concern with new lyrics from Guns N' Roses is what the hell is Axel going to sing about? Because you're not going to get Appetite for Destruction Part 2 or Use Your Illusion Part 2. So it'll be interesting to see if it happens. I would love it to happen, but yeah, time will tell. But never count this band out. They've always surprised people. So
that's true.
It could turn out tomorrow. It could come out tomorrow. You never know. It could come out next year.
I think, for what it's worth, with Slash's album being pushed back to next year and the band touring again, I think the chances are more likely than not that you're going to get some new music out of this. I don't think for better or worse, I don't think they'd do it just for the touring, nostalgia, money-making kind of thing. I think that there's still enough in them to want to... They'll do it a slow burn. I wouldn't expect it to be tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a new album, just because the people involved tend to be creative anyway, and there's always room to go around. If they can get past all the issues at the tour, I think the next step is to, start writing some new music, and if they come up with a single and if it's more collaborative, then I think it'll work well, and we'll just see what we get. But yeah, tempered expectations, of course, but always good to get music from bands anyway, so we'll see what happens. But
there's also stuff that Duff worked on before he left back in the mid-90s, so it'd be interesting to see if they resurrect any of that stuff as well. Because even Slash before he left, they might have been kicking ideas around. Because one of the songs that ended up on Chinese Democracy was part of the piano solo Axel did in 1992 before November Rain. So,
okay. Well,
obsessive fan right here.
we all know that, Dave. But that's why I asked you first, because you'd be the one that'd have more information than I would. But yeah, I think the chances are pretty good if they've been able to keep this together for a couple of years, 3 or 4 years now, even, isn't it?
5 years now. It was 2016. Wow. I'm amazed too.
Okay. Well, yeah. So if they've kept it together that long, I'm pretty sure there'll be some ideas being worked on behind the scenes, even if they just got it together via Zoom, whatever, and then got in the studio and knock it over and get it done. But yeah, I think there'll be something for sure. Even if just a new single, it'll be interesting. Yeah. If they drop a new single, I think the world will collectively lose its mind, but we'll see what happens in that regard.
Plus, we should get a Use Your Illusion box set this year too. That turns 30.
Yeah, that's true. Fucking hell. A lot of these albums are getting a lot older, aren't they, Dave? Just like the rest of us. Nudes has obviously checked it out. He says the new Guns N' Roses songs sounds nice and snotty, 70s punk attitude. So there's that to it as well. Cool. Louise Rusick. Hi guys. Hope you're both well. Yes, we are, and hope you are. Hopefully you are as well. Thanks for jumping in and joining us. Good to have some more people here again. What else? Dean also followed up with Trondy's new single is one of his best. Always loved his work with Creed, Alter Bridge, and his solo project. Thank you. I think you guys will like it. His vocal performance on it is the best I've ever heard him. 12-track album. His vocal is fucking underrated, Tremonti.
He's a good singer.
Really good. And his solo albums to date have been pretty fucking good too. So I know everyone loves, Alter Bridge and some people do and some people don't enjoy Creed, but his solo albums have been fantastic to date. Not a bad word to say about him personally. Darren thinks there will be a new Guns N' Roses album for sure. And, cool. Tim is here with us tonight. Our good friend Tim Case, who we've seen on our Metal Church special recently, and who is on Channel 44. Part 1 of that is on Channel 44 in Adelaide tonight at 10:30 p.m. Tim has said, I'm all over the new Florence Black single. The debut album drops in September. Very keen on this one. Yes, we are looking forward to that ourselves as well. So that will be very, very cool. Those singles so far have been fucking fantastic. So, yes, there's a lot to look forward to in that regard. All right. Keep the comments coming as we move along. We'll get to our usual format of things, but we're going to do this one with a bit of a twist, and you'll have to forgive me if I bring the mood down a little bit tonight. We will get to the fun stuff after, but I do have to address something which is going to be making up our hot topic, which if you've read the post or the description or whatever, this is going to be about an editorial decision that is basically mine to make. There's been some pressure from certain circles to get a certain album reviewed from a certain artist. Now, I'm not going to name names. I don't want to name names. Either way. There is, at this stage, we're not going to review the album. And the reasons for that, despite what people might think, they're not political. I know it's really, really hard to separate politics and health, especially at the moment. I just want to get this on the record, which is why I'm doing this tonight, because I want to nip this in the bud, knock it on the head, and just get this on the record so it's done. Won't spend too long on this. But it's important to separate health from politics. And when people say it should only be about the music. And yes, I would absolutely 100% agree with that. The trouble with that argument in this context is that when an artist is using their artist profile, not their name, not a different identity, but their actual artist profile, to spread anti-health information in this day and age, I don't feel comfortable amplifying that platform to 100,000 plus people that we can reach on a regular basis. People won't agree with that, and that's okay. I'm not expecting anyone at all to agree with that if they don't want to. We've had plenty of discussions amongst ourselves behind the scenes. It's not a unified decision at all, but it's one that ultimately falls to me being, quote unquote, the editor of what we do here, the one that has the final say on what goes out, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that wears it all, good or bad, whatever. It all falls on my head being the producer of what we do here. So I'm going to put this on the record right now. And like I said, people are not going to agree with it, but it's not a no forever. There's no blacklist or anything like that going on. That's not what this is about. But as long as artists are using an artist platform to routinely brag about putting signs up about the or the jab not being approved for human use and right near a vaccination clinic and things like this, and this is from the artist platform, I don't feel comfortable, confident, or happy about amplifying that message, no matter how big or small. And I'd rather focus my efforts and energy on, how do I put this? Artists that are also releasing kick-ass music, but are also not. I don't care what people put on their personal pages. This is not about personal points of view, personal opinions. And if they put it on their personal page, that is completely irrelevant to what we do here. This is because the artist page is being used to do this stuff. Which means when I say check out this artist, check out this music, this is a direct gateway to that kind of stuff. And like I said, no people won't agree with it. That's okay. The good news about not agreeing with us is that anyone that wants to, and this applies to us ourselves on their own personal pages and stuff too, that if anyone wants to talk about it, they can. I have not put a block on anyone from talking about it at all. Other publications have talked about it, and more power to them. They can do their own thing. Good news for anyone else that doesn't like it as well. You can do it yourself. You can talk about it yourself. Everyone has one of these days. You can do this stuff. So, but I'd also like to put on the record that I don't appreciate pressure being applied, especially behind the scenes, to people that don't get the final say on things. So if you have an issue with this, that's okay, but bring it to me. Don't bring it to Nikki, to Dave, to Tim, to Brendan, to whatever else. I'm the one that wears it, so take it to me. I'm happy to engage in civil conversation, but I just want to put on the record that no, at this point in time, it won't be being covered. If you know who I'm talking about, you do. If you don't, I'm not going to disclose it. And for that matter, I have listened to the album, by the way, and I do think the last one is better than the current one, just for the record. I haven't, completely ruled it out and all that stuff, but it's just, I don't know, whatever. And this is not cancel culture either. I know that word's been thrown around behind the scenes. It's not cancel culture because we're not calling anyone out or saying that no one should do anything with this. We are just choosing to ignore it, and that is our prerogative, or mine in this context. And at the same time, the wonderful thing about, the people that are pursuing freedom of speech or freedom of expression, all that sort of stuff, it's just as okay to have that, as well as have people that don't want to talk about things if they don't want to. So if you don't have to talk about a thing if you don't want to. That's, I don't know. I don't want to spend too long on this, but at the same time, like I said, we don't all agree with it. It's not politics. It's about health messaging, not politics. In the middle of a pandemic, I don't feel comfortable amplifying someone else who's doing everything they can to get in the way of the health response at this current time from their artist profile. Nothing to do with their personal profile either. Yeah, like I said, it's on me. If you don't like it, you can direct it to me. I want the messages and the pressure applied to other people to stop at this point. It goes to me and me alone. If you don't respect that, then you don't respect us as far as I'm concerned. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, Dave, but I just wanted to put that on the record without spending forever and a day on this one.
Yeah. My thoughts, a lot of them mirror what you've said, but I'll just leave it be. You've pretty much covered everything in the most articulate way I can think possible.
Okay, cool. Like I said, sorry to bring the mood down there, folks, but that was something I didn't want to keep letting fester and simmer away. It's just done. It's on the record. I will clip this and put it out there as a standalone piece of content as soon as I'm able as well, just to be ultra clear on things there. Sorry to bring that in, but that's what we're doing there. What else have we got here? Oh, well, thank you for the kind words here, Dean. Dean jumped in to say, you always have the right thing to say, Andrew. You handle the pressure amazing. Keep it up. Thank you. I'm not so sure I get everything right, but I do what I can with what I got. It's just one of those things, unfortunately. But on a more positive note, Dean also asked, Dave, did you know Eclipse has a new album out on the 7th of October? Heard you're a fan like myself, got their album's great band. So I think we all knew that one behind the scenes, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah. That last single they dropped was like, holy shit. I listened to that over and over when that came out. And judging on that song alone, I'm really excited for this album. Pretty damn good.
Well, yeah, the Bite the Bullet, is that the one you're talking about, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is actually going to be in the TV broadcast on Saturday night in Melbourne, so check it out there as well. So that's going to be... We're very excited. We've got a lot of love for that band here. Yeah, I think all of us universally at least appreciate what they do. There's no one that dislikes them at all. So Bite the Bullet is the one. Yeah, that's a really good single, and it's got a pretty cool video too, for that matter. And we're looking forward to the album for sure, because Monumentum, Viva La Victoria. What was the last album called? Was it Paradigm, that's the one. Sorry, yes. Yeah. That was pretty cool. Monumentum was absolutely stunning.
Fucking fantastic. That was a fantastic album.
If we get anywhere near that again, I'll be stoked. And they've already said there's going to be some different things on this one, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next, because Eric Martinson is a killer songwriter and a killer vocalist as well. So nothing wrong there, and he's a good bloke too to boot. So there's absolutely nothing bad here to say about that, which is cool. All right, we're going to keep the fun moving along. We've got the negative shit out of the way. Let's get on to it. So in our description or in the comments now, wherever you're tuning in from, if you can't find it, I'll give you I'll tell you what it is. But you're looking for Axel Rudi Pell. That's the artist. The song is There's Only One Way to Rock. That is the reference track for the next, or our first review for tonight. So like I said, there's a link in the comments. If you can't find it, it's Axel Rudi Pell. There's Only One Way to Rock. And it's also in the description of the post wherever you're tuning into this from as well. So the review to go along with that reference track is Axel Rudi Pell with Diamonds Unlocked 2. 11 tracks, 50 minutes. This is an album of covers from the German guitarist, which follows up from Volume 1 in 2007. Released July 2021 via SPV Steamhammer, produced by the man himself. 2 singles have been released in There's Only One Way to Rock and She's a Lady. This is an idea that had been floating around for a couple of years and came out because this time around he didn't want to release new music if he couldn't tour it. So they figured this would be a good time to release a covers album. This makes it his first release of non-original music in 15 years as well. So it's a long time between drinks. So how'd you go with it, Dave?
Cool. During my first listen to this, two things became very clear. The first is this album came along at exactly the right moment for me. So you have that short intro, and then There's Only One Way to Rock and Roll. It was great to hear some old school fun rock and roll, no experimentation, no politics, no overproduction, just big sounding guitar riffs and drums and an awesome voice. I'm just like, fuck yeah, fuck the world. This is an awesome thing to listen to. The second thing is it took me way too long to realize this was a cover album. So I knew nothing about it going in. So I got most of the way. And then She's a Lady came on. It's like, oh yeah, I know the song rocked it up. This is pretty cool. And later we get Paint It Black. And that made me look at the track list, and I thought I put a spell on you. I was like, oh, it's covers. Okay. Bit slow. I should do some research before I listen to things. As far as Paint It Black goes, that is the song that got me interested in the Rolling Stones. And it's been a long time favorite song. Fucking love that song. And this is a very cool rocked up version. If you want a metal version, check out what Wasp did with that song, which is great too. But if you want a rock version, they've done some really cool things with this. And I Put the Spell on You, classic song. I'm more familiar with the Creedence Clearwater Revival version rather than the original Screaming Jay Hawkins. This is just a beefed up rock version. Oh, my wife's making odd noises. She's going to kill me because she prefers the original.
Hi, Julia.
Andrew says hi. But yeah, we always argue about music, and I always say that Van Halen's version of You Really Got Me is much better than the Kings. Did you hear that?
Yes, we did.
Like all great cover albums, this delivers some very cool songs that I'm familiar with, and in a lot of cases on this, I was unfamiliar with, obviously, because I didn't know it's a cover album. Two songs on this I ended up listening to on repeat over and over, and they become like favorites of the week, is Sarah and Rock and Roll Queen.
Okay.
So I went back and checked out the originals, and Sarah's actually by a guy named Chris Norman. It was in a band called Smokey. It turned out they did Living Next Door to Alice and Stumbling In, two of those shit songs that you hear on Easy Listening. Yeah. And hearing that original version of Sarah, and yeah, it's not good. But Axel Rudi Pell turned a crap song into a fucking fantastic song. It's really well done. And it lends itself to the hard rock style a lot better than the original. And talking about improvements, my other favorite on this, Rock and Roll Queen, comes from a band called the Subways, who formed in the early 2000s, which I have never heard of. And listening to the original version of this song, I can understand why. It's fucking atrocious. The guitar tone in the original is horrible, and the vocals are raw, and it's got that cracked vocal style. I want to hear that shit. I'll sing myself. And it just shows how a crap song can really be amplified with a really talented musician doing a cover song, because this version is fantastic. Two songs I did check out the originals for that I wasn't familiar with was Sammy Hagar's There's Only One Way to Rock and Geordie's Black Cat Woman. I've known Geordie because Brian Johnson, obviously, but I haven't heard much of their stuff. Both of those songs, very cool covers and very faithful to the original. But overall, I think Axel Rudi Pell did a fantastic job with this album. The guitar tone and he's playing on this is just a joy to listen to. Yeah. So I asked you in the chat if we reviewed any of his stuff previously, but I'm not sure if I sat that one out or. But yeah, he's got a big discography.
Yeah. It was an odd. Yeah, it was a different release to this one for sure.
Yeah, he's inspired me enough to go check out his extensive catalog. He's been around since the mid-90s. Yeah. But yeah, it's the right album at the right moment for me, I think. And
cool.
He picked the right songs, and it takes me back to that time in music that I really miss, where it's just about big songs, a stadium rock, fun times, and I could easily listen to this over and over. Nice. I can't give it a top 10 at the end of the year, but it's going to get an honorable mention. If it was originals, I'd put in the top 10, but that's not fair to some of the other great music that's coming out. But yeah, this is fucking fantastic. I gave it 9 out of 10. Nice. And Black Cat Woman, Room with a View, Rock and Roll Queen, and Paint It Black are my standouts.
Cool. Nudes, I'll get to your comment in a second. There's a funny one there for you, Dave, but I'll get to that in a moment. So covers albums as a general rule are interesting. They can go one way or the other kind of thing for me. They can either go really, really well or terribly shit. This falls into the well done side of things like that. I think the instrumental opening is really nice, but then you just get straight into the songs, really, and it's all rocked up. You get some ballads on here, but it's all pretty rock and stuff, and even the ballads they've given it a bit of grunt too, which is cool. In that respect, the ones that didn't need any added heat brought to them, they didn't. They sort of stayed pretty faithful. The ones they needed to bring the right amount of heat for, they did it just right. They didn't overdo it, didn't undercook it either. They did it just right, which is pretty fucking special. And if you ever wanted to hear ABBA and rock and roll, well, this sort of proves that it works, because there's an ABBA track on this one, which is pretty fucking good at the end of the album. As you should expect, you get a lot of nice, tasty guitar work on this, both in the riffs and the lead. I think that what was cool about this is that while the solos were flashing, they weren't, over the top of absolutely everything. They were actually very tasteful. There's plenty of flash, but there was, nice amounts of just the right sort of seasoning to go with this sort of stuff, which is pretty cool. But I also liked how there's some nice use of harmony, a bit of heartfelt stuff in this. She's a Lady is a good example of what I'm talking about there. They slow it down a bit, not too much, but they slow it down enough to sort of give you the album dynamics that you're looking for as well, but also to allow the more heartfelt vocal to come through, which allows for more soul to be done in the lead work as well. So they use the emotive side of things really nicely on this one as well. The songs are from a certain vintage, 70s, I think would be the predominant cause of these songs here. Maybe a bit earlier, some bit later, but around that time frame. And as such, the production is sort of modeled on that. They've gone with the approach from the era with modern techniques, and they've done a really good job of balancing this thing out nicely. It's got a nice and even balance. I think it's really clear, which is really nice for this one. The acoustic tone is glorious on this, and there's some nice panning when they want to open up the space on this one too, to get the technical side of this one's been really, really executed. They haven't sacrificed anything by giving you the old school feel, because it all has still the very modern sound and approach and everything going on to it. I don't think there's many flat spots on this one at all. For me, it's funny that you picked it, Dave, as a standout, but Sarah was probably the weakest moment on this one for my taste. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably down to taste more than anything else. It's just one of those things where it was a standout for you. For me, it didn't really do a lot for me, but it wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just like when you're getting toward the back end of the album, it's like, yeah, it just felt a bit sort of flat in the moment, but that was just me. But overall, the album flow is nicer. The performances will keep it engaging, if nothing else. And I think where Paint It Black is probably an abused cover song, this one was done well, and the synth touch on that was pretty good as well. It made a whole thing a little bit more bombastic, and the way the synth and the guitar played off against each other in that version was pretty well done too. This is an easy to take in listen, very, very comfortable to spin on repeat too. Very well done album here. I gave it an 8 out of 10. There's Only One Way to Rock, Lady of the Lake, and Room with a View. I'd never heard that song before, but the lyrics in that are really fucking cool. That really jumped out at me. That was a nice story in a song there. So I'm glad they did that one on this, and it fit nice. One of the more slower ones on here, but it worked out really nicely. So yeah, that is a very good album. If you are into rocked up covers, go and check that one out for sure. Just going back to the audience here, Nudes has jumped in with Dave. Have you heard U2's version of Paint It Black? You know you want to.
No, I don't. Didn't know they did it, and I still don't want to know that they did it. I will not be listening to U2's version of Paint It Black. Thank you.
I think that's pretty much unanimous, but one of us might be curious enough to check it out. I don't know. We'll see how we go. That will be interesting to say the least. All right, let's move on. Let's get on to the next one. In the comments, in the description, or the post, wherever else you know what to do, find it. If you can't find it, any of the comments or the links or whatever else, then you're looking for Geezer Butler or GZR Geezer, and the song is The Invisible. That's what we've gone with as a reference track for this, because we're going to talk about Geezer Butler, Manipulations of the Mind. This is the version we've gone for, is 17 tracks for 76 minutes. It's a special release, which is a best of collection built out of the Black Sabbath bass guitarist solo career. There are 3 albums to choose from that have gone into the mixing of this one, but as a part of a special box set, all 3 albums have been released, along with a special bonus disc, a 4th disc, which is demos and never before heard stuff and that as well. Like I said, we're doing the shorter version of this because doing 3 albums is kind of silly for us in the context of these episodes. So we did the 1 album, the selected tracks, so to speak. This one has, like I said, a mix of songs from the albums Plastic Planet, Books, Black Science, and Homework. and features performances from Burton C. Bell and Clark Brown on vocals, Pedro Howes on guitar, Geezer on bass, and drums by Dean Castronovo and Chad E. Smith, not from the Chili Peppers, the other one. This was all released July 2021 via BMG. So, Dave, it's not Black Sabbath. How did you go?
Yeah, I've never heard anything from solo Geezer Butler before.
Yeah.
So this is a cool collection to get that whole thing off. So you get a decent selection from each of these three solo albums. It's really interesting to go back to the 90s and early 2000s for these albums. And it's not grunge, it's more towards the heavier stuff around at the time. You still get a little hint of what Sabbath did. You get his lyrics as well. But on the other hand, it's not industrial either. It's kind of an oddity unto itself because his sensibilities from the 80s, probably the 70s, but then he's bringing it to the 90s and bringing his style, his take on the heaviness around that time, which is pretty cool. There's some really heavy riffs and drumming on this, and it's very riff-driven, as you would expect from him. And he's surrounding himself with some pretty damn good musicians as well. It's basically taking Sabbath to the 90s and filling it full of steroids. The first song on this is Drive Boy Shooter, from the first album we did, Plastic Planet. And the vocals on that, I didn't know when I first heard it, Burton C. Bell. But I'm like, fuck, I know this guy. This guy sounds very familiar. It's really interesting to hear him outside of Fear Factory without the industrial production. Because, as I think I said on the Fear Factory review we did recently, part of the reason I like Fear Factory when I'm not really an industrial person is he's a damn good singer, and you can actually hear that through all the production they put on it. And to hear him clean here, he still has his style, but it's just not covered in effects, and he's fucking great. Sadly, he only did the first album with Geezer, but the next singer they brought in, Clark Brown, he fits pretty damn good with what Geezer's doing through here. And the guitarist is again that guy named Pedro Howes. And if you know Napoleon Dynamite, vote for Pedro. This guy's fucking cool. Certainly knows how to play, and he's written some damn good stuff on here. But Geezer always wrote good lyrics in Sabbath. But he certainly hasn't lost his ability to observe the world around him and bring it into some very cool songwriting on here. There's a lot of meat throughout this. Some songs are great. Box of Sticks is fucking awesome. That's a cool song. Love the drums, that pounding drum on there, and the riff in that one is cool. A couple other songs aren't to my taste, like Prisoner 103. I think that's from the 2005 album. There's a bit too much hip hop on the vocals in that for me.
Yeah, it's an odd one, that one.
That just kind of stood out in a weird way there. But for the most part, this is a compilation of very cool 3 albums over a 10-year period. And based on this, I'm going to go listen to Plastic Planet in whole and Black Science. Onwork, not so much, but the first 2, I'll give that one a listen to. But yeah, I'm really intrigued to hear the full versions of the first 2 albums. But yeah, this is, if you haven't heard Geezer Butler solo stuff before, this is a great starting point. Gave it 8 out of 10. Drive Boy Shooter, Box of Six, House of Clouds, and Among the Cybermen. If you're a Doctor Who nerd, you'll like that one. That
was pretty cool, wasn't it?
It was well done.
I did like that. Make sure if you're watching it, if you know any of these stuff, then give us your thoughts, feelings, whatever, memories in the comments as we go along with any of these artists. We encourage the comments, so keep them coming. But if you're thinking Black Sabbath, think again. This is nothing at all like Black Sabbath, really. I mean, you get some of the feel in some of the tracks, but ultimately, this ain't it. I think it's fucking fantastic, personally. I first came across Geezer stuff with Burton C. Bell on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, which I'm pretty sure a few people out there knew about that one as well. That was really cool to hear that one done, and that was where I really started to explore Burton C. Bell's work, as well as I went and checked out the album that came from, Plastic Planet. Haven't really kept up to date with as much since then as I would have liked to, but it was fucking, that song has stayed with me the entire time and ended up being a standout on this one as well, just purely for the memory of it all as well. I love that song, and that has stayed with me for forever since I first heard it. I think, for as aggressive as this is, for the more industrialized tone overall, there is still plenty of melody in this. I think Clark Brown actually stepped up to the plate after Burton left because he had other commitments. It wasn't just a commitment issue time thing. But Clark stepped up and filled the hole nicely. I thought he did a really good job. You've got nice groove on this, which is where that, you get that sort of Sabbathy feel in the groove and the playing on this one a little bit. But the lyrics on this, like you mentioned, are absolutely stunning. I mean, excuse me, the lyrical content and the way it's been crafted are there's fucking fantastic. Like I cannot get enough of it. There's a few twists and turns along the way, though, as well. You can tell that this has been done over the course of a number of years because there's, Pardon My Depression has a bit of an Alice in Chains vibe about it, which I thought was really, really nicely done in the context of this little listen as well. And, there's darkness in this as well. Mysteron's as a prime example of that. There's almost prog-like moments as well in things like Oral Sects. There's a lot more to this. It's not simplified. It's not dumbed down. There's, your simple straight ahead stuff. And then there's some more complicated stuff, which is a lot more fun and engaging. I like the darkness. I like the atmosphere. I like the gear changes on this one of the track order, how it's been done on this one too, how it's a song from each album in order, like a rotating 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. They do a really nice job of putting the right tracks in the right place because this is a bit of a longer listen, but it doesn't really feel like it either. It flies by pretty well. I think that, the synth and the effects, they aren't overly used in this music. When they are used, they're done very well to taste. They really have filled things out nicely. Number 5, I think, is a really good example. It's an odd little song, but it's a good example of what I'm talking about in that regard. There are some longer tracks which use some acoustic work on this one as well. All in all, while it's predominantly industrialized sort of rock and metal, there's a fair bit more going on in this than you might expect. Like I said, I paid more attention to the first album, and I'm going to go and check out the other two as well. I think the only flat spot for me is the same as you, Dave. Prisoner 103, but it's purely taste-based, nothing to do with the execution. It's well recorded, well, presented. It's a well-written song. It's just the rapping vocal. I don't really get into it in that approach, but, it's just taste, purely taste. Well, I thought the mix was good too. This sounded really good for the style. There's some clipping on this, especially on the Plastic Planet tracks, because that was the style they were going for back then. But overall, they've done a really good job. There's some nice space and there's some nice use of panning. They've got a nice vibe going on with this one, which is really engaging. And yeah, you can hear the separation in the tones really nicely as well. And that helps the clarity in the vocals, which again emphasizes the lyrics, which is one of the really big gateway entry points to this one as well. I think this one's well worth your time. It's not punishing, it's not fatiguing. Like it's a bit longer, but it flies by. Well worth checking out. And this is one of those perfect gateways to going and checking out, there's only 3 albums to go and listen to, but if this one gets your attention, then you're probably going to like the 3 albums overall. So I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. The Invisible, Man in a Suitcase, I Believe, and Pardon My Depression were my standouts on this one as we go through it. Just referencing back to the Axel Rudi Pell one, just for a second, I've got some comments here which I'll go to in a moment, but I think the Axel Rudi Pell one, it's one of those ones because he wanted it to be an album that encouraged people to go and check out the like you, Dave, you love going and checking out the original songs when you get a covers album. That's one of the things you love doing. And Axel was trying to encourage people to do that. And he wanted to make it fun. So it's cool that you picked up on the fun vibe, but I think it actually does a job of making people want to go and check out the originals as well. What do you think of that? Do you think he executed that side of it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of cover albums we hear, and it's just like, yeah, I'll go check out some of the key tracks, but on this, I went and had to listen to most of what was there. Yeah. Because he did such a good job. And the songs, because he kind of fooled me to start with, I didn't know it was covers, and I enjoyed it as it was. And it's like, these songs are actually worth checking out their history. So yeah, he definitely did a good job with that.
Cool. Just I know it was in the back of my head as I was going through this one. I didn't mention that before. I wanted to quickly cover that off. But yeah, cool. I'm glad that you got the same vibe that I did. The Watcher Collects Comics has jumped in on YouTube. Thank you for jumping into the comments. Pedro is the nephew of Giza. Love Plastic Planet and Black Science. The song Detective 27 is named after the comic, which is the first appearance of Batman. Okay, there you go. That's kind of fitting that you would know that with the username we've got going on there. Never was hugely into comics myself. My kids, however, love that sort of stuff, so it was cool. All the albums just released on vinyl for the first time about 6 months ago. Okay, cool. And Dean Castronova drums on Plastic Planet. Yes, he does. But yeah, that's cool. Thank you for all the updates there. Now I know that the Geezer album's been around for a while, but they've been sort of in and out of circulation, I think, from memory for a bit too. So they're not highly in rotation, but they're well worth checking out. So if you get a moment, I think we both enjoyed it. So I will be checking out those ones if I get a chance to. I encourage you to do the same. Moving on now to tonight's main event for the evening. So again, please get in the comments and give us your thoughts on this one, because we're doing this as a little nod to Dusty Hill, who passed away. So our condolences once again to his family, bandmates, friends, fans, anyone that knew him and is impacted by that. So our condolences there. So we do our classic album reviews, which tend to be anniversary reviews as we go through on these Thursday night deep cuts now. And we've gone with ZZ Top, El Loco is the album. Before we get stuck into it, the reference track we've linked in the comments and in the description of the post is Tube Snake Boogie. So you're looking for ZZ Top. Tube Snake Boogie is the one you're going for. That's the reference track that we've given you all to enjoy and check out as we go through it. But for tonight's main event, this is ZZ Top with El Loco, 10 tracks, 37 minutes, the 7th studio album of the American band, released July 1981 by Warner Brothers. Produced by Bill Ham. 2 singles were released in Leela and Tube Snake Boogie. This one peaked number 17 in the US, number 88 in the UK, and has been certified gold in the US. This was the first record where the band didn't play in the same room at the same time when recording. They were separated for this one for the first time ever. And also saw them beginning, very, very beginning, to experiment with synthesizers, which is where things went in the future. Like I was saying before, this one we're doing is a little nod to Dusty Hill. We'll do one for Joey Jordison next week, but this is what we got to for this week. So, Dave, how did you go with this one? Have you checked that much ZZ Top before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They would be one of my earliest musical memories, even though I didn't know who they were at the time. In about 9 or 10 and getting into music, that riff to LaGrange was just one that I knew, but I didn't know who the hell did this song. And every now and then it would come on the radio, and they'd go into other songs afterwards, and you never stuck around long enough to find out who this band was. So at some point in my teenage years, I'm just like finding out LaGrange is by ZZ Top. And that song is, that riff and that vocals is just iconic. And I think every hard rock band knows that, at least. And I was lucky enough to see ZZ Top back in 2013 when they opened for Guns N' Roses at Maya Music Bowl. Yeah. And I don't know if they were running late or something, or somebody said that, you're going to have to drop a song because you've only got this time slot. But their entire set was sped up. Everything had a higher, more rushed tempo, and it was just fucking ZZ Top on steroids. It's a very, very cool gig. It's just like, fuck, I've never heard these songs so fast before. Nice. It was pretty damn cool. But,
did it work? Did it work going faster?
It really did. You could put the record on a higher speed and you could hear it. But, yeah, they certainly are a damn good live band. They got a hell of a lot of energy, and they were a lot of fun. But, I got this little pack from maybe Hi-Fi. It's got 5 albums. But
those are underrated, those little collections. They're great.
They're great. $20, you get 5 CDs, full albums. Doesn't take up too much space in your collection. But El Loco is not one of them. I am not familiar with this album at all.
Okay.
And I knew they had albums spaced in between there, so kind of follows on what they were doing with I can't pronounce this, but that album follows on from what they were doing in this style. But I thought the album between that and Eliminator might be a little bit more what they were doing on Eliminator. And this is more towards what they were doing there. So makes me appreciate what they did on that other album a lot more, because it kind of came out of nowhere. They really changed direction big time. Because you think about all the big albums that like revitalized the band's career or gave them the MTV treatment in the 80s. You had Alice Cooper's Trash, but before that he had Raise Your Fist and Yell and Constrictor. So it was building up to that. Aerosmith's Comeback Pump, they had Permanent Vacation beforehand. These big breakthrough albums of a band's second wing, they always have an album before, so they were just doing what they were doing. But, regardless of what they're doing, ZZ Top always just deliver very cool outlaw rock and roll. Yeah. And not that didn't fit the style, so they're from an old school style of playing where the band was just very tight. They kind of had a sixth sense where they knew what each other was doing. They could just have these free
is the word you're looking for.
Telepathic, that's the word I'm looking for. If they're dishing out the heavy blues stuff or the mellow, laid-back stuff, this one tends to be more towards the mellow. But they just know how to write a good fucking song. Yeah. Now the song titles throughout this album could be from a Steel Panther album.
Just about.
Either that or my mind is completely warped. But you got 10-Foot Pole, It's So Hard, and Pearl Necklace. Together, there's a story there. It could just be because I have a warped mind, but it's pretty obvious they've mastered the single entendre, and they make that quite clear in Pearl Necklace, where they mention she ain't talking about no jewelry. Okay, it's a very obvious song. There's a few double entendre hints there, but they make that pretty straight up. But that gives you an idea. They're in a fun mood. They're playing some relaxed, laid-back stuff. It's an album you can put on at the end of the day, listen to some mellow tunes, have a drink, unwind, and just listen to some quality, old school, bluesy rock and roll. Goes 8 out of 10. I Want to Drive You Home, It's So Hard, and Pearl Necklace were my standouts.
Cool. Got some cool comments coming through, so please keep them coming because I will get to those as we wrap this up. But yeah, keep them coming. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned LaGrange because the band that I was in many, many years ago now, one of the first songs we learned to play with each other was that song.
Ooh.
So, and we even covered it, I think, for part of our assignment when we were doing our audio engineering course and that as well. So yeah, there's a bit of a backstory to that one for me. So that's a cool little memory that you sort of jogged for me there by talking about LaGrange, just for a bit of historical context there. Not a band that I've covered heaps of, but I've always enjoyed what I've heard. We did cover the, I think it was an EP a couple of years ago, which had I Got to Get Paid on it and stuff like that as well. I Got to Get Paid was actually a alarm tone on my phone for a while there, which is another one there as well. But this is a band we should probably do a special on at some stage because they've got a lot of history to go through and they've got a lot of cool music as well and a very diverse career overall as well. But this one is classic blues rock, riffs through the lyrics. This one just gives you all you want from that. You mentioned, you come home, have a couple of drinks. This is perfect by the fire kind of album. So you can get up and boogie to this one if you want. You can just sit back and just enjoy your cold ones and that's it. This is a really good album for either of those, states of mind that you might be in. There's a lot of controversy over the band's history in doing digitally enhanced remixes. It's one of the few albums that didn't get that treatment. And if this is the original mix that we're getting today, fuck me dead. What a fantastic mix. I love how clear this is, big and spacious, especially for a three-piece. It's got plenty of smoke in it. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of, the blues, the bar, the whole thing is there in it. But the clarity in the tones is absolutely wonderful. I think this sounds fantastic today. I like the panning on it as well. I know I've been saying that a bit tonight, but on this one in particular, it really stood out to me. I loved how the drums and the bass were pushed up a little bit on this one and how the clean tone of the lead guitar would soar over the top, which leaves this space for the vocals just to carve up the middle a bit more, which was really nicely done on this one. Not a heap going on production-wise. When they do layer things in, it was a really nice touch. Things like tambourine and that, just here and there, they did something a bit different on each song, and it was really well mixed into it and really fit nicely. And I loved how they've got this sort of jam band element in the way they compose the songs and perform them on this one as well. And the vocal switches as well, like your clear as day stuff, then there's just muddy, mumbling kind of vocals going on. They changed the tones, which was really nice. Having the split duties on vocally with Don't Tease Me and then Dusty taking the lead on Party on the Patio were good touches on this one as well. And they showcased their individual abilities in that regard nicely too. Jesus, this one has more diversity than you expect. It is very much a 12-bar blues, smoky album, but at the same time, there's a lot more to it than just that. And I think that there's some really nice solos on this, and I think that aspect might be a little bit overlooked with these guys. Everyone knows the hooks and that, but I think that the lead work is pretty bloody cool. And because it is the three-piece, I've done the traditional thing. They didn't, layer in a rhythm track. The bass and the drums come up and really fill that space out nicely. And they all get to do their thing really well. And they just click, these three guys. Like you were saying, that telepathy, that sixth sense, they just know what they're doing. You can just tell the chemistry is on for these guys. It's just fantastic. I like how they had some slow moments on this, like Leela. You can see how that was a single for the time it was released, but at the same time, each and every time they slow it down, the next song just goes bang and just kicks you in the head again. And so, this is a whole fun, upbeat listen with a few somber or more sedate moments, but they're all really cool songs, and the album flows so beautifully. It's fantastic. And I love how infectious this is. The album flows great, the peaks, troughs, dynamics, all sort of stuff here, but this just feels great to listen to. This just feels like putting on that old comfortable jacket and just sitting down and I don't know, having a good day. It just really does feel great to listen to this one. Like I said, I haven't spent a heap of time with this band, but I have spent a bit. And this one is a great place, or as good a place as any to start with this band. This is a fantastic record from start to finish. And there's more to this than meets the eye too. Don't just think you've heard it all with this band, because over their entire catalog, there's a lot more than you think there as well. But this one is a pretty good one. 8 out of 10 from me. Tube Snake Boogie, Party on the Patio, and Don't Tease Me were standouts on this one, but there was no flat spots on this one as well. All right, let's get to some comments because we got some good ones here. So thank you everyone for jumping in. Dean said, rest in peace, Dusty. Be cracking the album tomorrow for him and Eliminator. Yes, beautiful, nice touch. Phil Scarville said, hey, lads. So, hey, thanks for jumping in and joining us tonight. Good to have you here with us. I think Sumaleth did the same thing there with a little emoticon on YouTube. So thank you for jumping in and saying hi. Awesome to have you here. Nicola said, ZZ Top at Olympic Park, Melbourne. Awesome. That would have been fantastic too. That would have been very, very cool. Speaking of doing special episodes on this sort of stuff, Tim Caterson jumped in saying ZZ Top special on Rage on Saturday night. Awesome. Cool. Good to see them doing that. We will eventually get around to doing one ourselves. We didn't want to rush that one through. Dean also said, I wish I saw them live with Dusty. Ballsy to still play without him from Billy. I agree that I think it's okay because they did get the blessing as well while he was alive to carry on. So I think as long as that stuff's clear, I have no issue at all with them continuing on if they're really able to do it.
They posted a picture today and they just got the hat on the microphone stand. That was really good.
Yeah, that's they played a gig 2 days after his death, so they knew he was on. But that reminds me a little bit of there's a story I read about Lynyrd Skynyrd and the first time the band, or one of the times the band played Freebird after the plane accident, and they just had the spotlight on the stand with the hat on the mic stand, and the crowd sang the song. That would have been a fucking amazing moment to be there for as well. But yeah, things like that. Those little moments, those little tributes are really, really cool. Henry, good to see you here, Henry. Legedza has jumped in. Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, classic track from the Tres Hombres album. Yes, there's a lot of love for that one out there as well. Feel free to keep jumping in with your favorite tracks and all sort of stuff. Like I said, when we do get to do a special on these guys, we'll be polling the audience for favorite tracks and favorite albums and that too. So keep up to date with us on social for all that sort of stuff. But yeah, keep the comments coming as we go along, and we'll try and check them out. If we're not here when you do so, if you're tuning in later on, then thanks for joining us later on, but also we'll try and check out the comments as we can. But that sort of brings us to the conclusion of another episode. That's what we've gotten time for tonight. So in about an hour and a half from now, make sure you tune in on Channel 44 in Adelaide for this week's episode of The Hard Rock Show on television. That's part 1 of our Metal Church special is going to air tonight. And then part 2 is next week, same time and place. And then this coming Saturday on Channel 31, which is every Saturday night, 10:30 p.m., we have got another episode on, which in this one we review Narayan, Rautism, play some clips from Massive, Eclipse, Audio Rain, get a run in that one, and a few other bits and pieces in there as well. So, yeah, check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. That's our TV stuff. So Thursday night's Channel 44 in Adelaide, Saturday night's Channel 31 in Melbourne, both at 10:30 p.m. We'll have our next stream on Sunday. I'm not quite sure what we're doing yet because this week we normally try and keep the Sunday sessions to be the really fresh stuff, and there's not a heap coming out tomorrow. So we'll follow us on social or follow our Spotify account. Actually, our Spotify, you can find the Spotify account in the comments or in the description. Sorry, follow us there to keep up to date with our THRS current listening playlist. That's the one you want to follow there to keep up to date with that one. Trying to organize Interview Tuesday, and we'll have another Deep Cuts on Thursday as well. We have a lot of stuff to go through as always, because even if we don't do anything that's fresh and hot this week, there's plenty we've missed over this year as well to go through too. So that's what's coming up over the next week. We'll have our next special is the end of August, which will be celebrating the last decade, and we've got a few bits and pieces that are specially planned around this to help to celebrate 10 years of the Hard Rock Show as well. But I think that's about it. We'll get some quickly to some comments here. Dean said, I don't know why, but his death reminds me of AC/DC when Bond died and they kept going. Amazing, gutsy work to keep it going. And it's a fair... I mean, they were the same guys in that band for fucking decades. So, you know, well done. And it's one of those things where, yeah, if they've got the blessing they wanted to keep doing, then, yeah, please do keep going. Brendan jumped in on Facebook saying, New Faith or Fear album out, Titanium, killer crossover. Okay. I'll have to check that one out. I will definitely give that one a look over. Thanks for the heads up on that one. All right. But I think that's it for the... hopefully everyone's enjoyed tonight's broadcast. We did have a bit of a serious moment there toward the beginning, but hopefully we entertained everyone for this first night of lockdown 6.0 here in Melbourne. But to make things even more fun, let's go to the bin. So, Dave, what have you got for the bin this week?
Yeah, I got two.
Okay.
I either got nothing or I got two.
Yeah.
This week, I got to take a jab at the anti-vaxxers. Jab. But there's been a screenshot that's been circulating on Facebook the last few weeks. It's from a Western Australian government website, and it's mentioning about the coronavirus vaccine. and it says to administer a poison, and people have circled poison, and everyone's losing their shit over that. Go to your medicine cabinet, get the Panadol, get your antibiotics, look on the side, and it says what to do in case of an emergency. Contact the poisons hotline. All medication and vaccines are considered to be a poison. So don't manipulate facts for your own fucking benefit. Okay, you can twist anything you want. It scares people who haven't taken the time to actually check facts from qualified sources.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck off. And my second one is, as we mentioned earlier, Guns N' Roses performed a new song. And in a lot of fan pages online, it's copping a lot of shit already.
Yeah.
Get over it. They're not the same band they were when you grew up. Whatever they do is not going to meet everyone's expectations and standards. Just be thankful. Yeah, exactly. They're having fun. You can see on the video, Axel's making jokes before and after, and the rest of the band's having fun. So just fucking people just want to tear things down even before they give it a chance. And if that's, keep doing that shit. No one's ever going to bother releasing music. So fuck off, in the bin.
Yep, cool. I'll do the bin for everyone tonight, and that's lockdown. I know we're all over it. I know we're all tired of it. It is what it is. Let's hope this one's as short as possible, and we're the veterans. I was saying today beforehand that we are the 101st Airborne of fucking lockdowns in Australia. So we'll get through this one. We just got to stick together a bit longer, and hopefully we'll get this vaccine shit sorted out as soon as possible as well. But that lockdown itself, I know that people are suffering. I know that's not easy for a lot of people out there. So thoughts with you, but we'll hopefully get through this one nice and quick. Thank you for doing your bit if you're doing so. My other bin, I mentioned at the top that I got my first dose of the jab today, so I'm putting in the bin sore arms because that's a shit side effect of that sort of stuff. It's part and parcel of the deal. I'm having a bit of a Suki Lala moment here, but I know I've got to go to work tomorrow. It's a bit labor intensive, so that's going to suck for me. So I'm putting that in the bin preemptively for tomorrow morning for myself when I wake up going, this sucks. But it's worth it, so I'll do it again in a number of weeks. That's how it works out. What else have we got here? Phil said, well done, lads. Thanks. I'm glad we entertained you. I know it's a bit of a downer day for a lot of us here in Melbourne. I'm glad everyone tuned in, had some fun. Dean said 100%, David Andrew. Awesome. Thank you. And Nicola, agree with you there, Dave. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. I think that's a pretty good, trying to impose your own sense of what's right and wrong or should or shouldn't be done. If you can do better, go and do better. It's okay. There's more than enough space in the world to go and do it. So have a crack. And also Nicola followed that up with great info. Check out some music. Awesome. Thank you for the kind words there. Okay. I didn't know about this one. Dean's gone. Bin for me is those protesters outside Fed Square tonight. More COVID cases come from that, it looks like. I don't know about that. I'm not an epidemiologist, but it's a bit silly to do that stuff, really. I mean, what's the point? It's not going to make it go any shorter. So, okay.
Yep.
And Nudes said, Bin, so-called fans being abusive when a band announces a lineup change. Tim Rogers from You and I has joined Hard-Ons, going to be tops. Well, yeah, that's a bit funny too, but here's the thing, that when it comes to all this sort of stuff, when it comes to bands, artists, whatever else, people are humans. They're going to do their own thing. You don't have to agree or like it, but I just find the tear-down culture a bit tiresome at the end of the day. But, hey, it is what it is. I mean, we've done our bits over the years on the show as well, so I'm a bit of a pot calling kettle black there, but, we try to mature as we get a little bit older and try not to do things quite the same way, but, it is what it is in that regard. Doesn't always work for us, though, does it, Dave?
Mature? What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, it's not going to be our catch cry anytime soon. We'll see how we go with that. But everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in, getting in the comments and sharing it around. We really, really do appreciate it. All that interaction that we get on these ones is the best way to help us get out there. So anything you do in that regard is a huge help for us. So thank you for everyone for being involved and having some fun with us tonight. Hopefully we've entertained you and given you a bit of a respite from what is otherwise a pretty dour day here in Melbourne. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add there, Dave, before we sign off?
No, I'm good.
You're good? All right, cool. Well, as always, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you keep liking, following, subscribing. All of our details are in the description or the post of this one. And a big thank you once again to our fantastic sponsors in Squidding, Screen Printing, Alt, Colt, and Rockstar Finance. Please find them, give them a follow as well. Their details, just like ours, are in the post or description, wherever you're tuning into this one from. But that'll do us for now. We'll see you all again on Sunday. Look after yourselves until then, though. But I am Andrew.
I'm Dave.
Until next time.
Drink up.
And rock on.
Stay mature.
Hey.
Hey, that went cool.
Yeah, I actually found another quick little shortcut on how to edit this stuff as well. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So when I got to that little slate at the end, instead of me going fucking click, 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 there's actually, I found a singular button that I clicked and went, hang on, I didn't know this worked. And so I tried it. I don't know if it's new, but they've updated the platform. And I found it like, oh, that worked. That's cool.
Ooh.
I'll go with that.
Less buttons, less work.
Yeah. We'll see. Hang on. Let me just double check this one. Maybe not. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it didn't work.